it's an environment where the excess is glorified, where anything that can be done will be done. That's university. A lot of people, from my experience, when they went to uni, presented themselves in the first few weeks a certain type of way. But as the weeks and the months progressed, you could see who they really were. Going to university is a decision that every person who has gone to college considers. Should they go to do a university degree, or should they go into the workforce? From my experience, I have seen that the people that don't go to university are far better off than those that do. The reason I say that is they if you are serious about not going to uni, you need to start working immediately. Because when you go to university, what you are told is that you will get a degree and this degree will help you get employed. Now, the reality and the truth is that when you go into the market, you are competing with people with experience, and an employer cares far more about having experience than have you studied, because as someone with experience can have skills that are transferable. Somebody who's read and studied and passed the exam is somebody who needs to be trained, and that's very expensive. So people who've had like 3 extra years of work and experience are more likely to get the higher paying job than somebody who is fresh out of uni applying for the exact same role. Yes, there's a nuance. Some jobs require degrees, some jobs require a master's as a minimum, but oftentimes, even in those roles, if somebody has the relevant experience without those qualifications, they'll still get the job. So, should you go to uni? It's up to you. It will help you long term wise, at least to have the minimum requirement. But for spending £10,000 a year for 3 years, and that's just the school, what about the cost of living? What about it will cost around £60,000 really after you finish 3 years of studying in debt before you can even start making money. And oftentimes the entry level jobs are between 22,000 to 30,000 starting. But let's find out, should you guys go to uni? That's just my opinion. Let's go.
To add one further point, education, you're supposed to transcend yourself. That's the point of education. But what's happening is the opposite. So you're just going to reinforce all the stereotypes about your identity, and you can only learn from people who look like you. You can only learn from people who have had the same experience of you. The opposite should be the case, because you don't just want to be more of yourself. You don't just want to get back in your shell. You want to break out of that shell.
University, oftentimes, I recommend it in some cases, not for the educational element of university, but for the part of developing as an individual. Most people, when they go to university, reinforce who they are. So if you had certain beliefs that you were brought up with from a child, from your parents, when you go to university, that's the first time in your life you actually have a chance to question, challenge, and see if those beliefs are true. A lot of people, from my experience, when they went to uni, presented themselves in the first few weeks a certain type of way. But as the weeks and the months progressed, you could see who they really were come out. Either they were really nice, they were not so nice, or they were faithful or not so faithful. Those elements, I think, are important to explore in university, because it's a chance for you to, I guess, become a well-rounded person without the influence of, I guess, your immediate surroundings. Of course, there's people and friends who can influence you too, but university helps in framing who you're going to be. Everybody I know who's been to university, be it they have finished it or they dropped out, they come out more well-rounded. They come out more of a with a better understanding of how the world works, especially if they work through the university and if they were not shielded, if they were allowed to experience real life, to be independent, to have consequences actually happen to them.
And take on the world.
But isn't it? Don't you think that the upshot of all this, at least it is for me. Sorry, Philip, because I know it's your livelihood. Is just
Just close them all down.
No, just don't go to university. I would say that to any young person. I mean it, really. Like I've had a couple of stepson, not stepsons. What am I talking about?
Godsons?
Godsons. What should I do and everything? This is a few years ago now, and I sort of thought you could go, but you're going to come up against all sorts of stuff. I didn't want to kind of, make too bleak a picture, and you're going to pay hugely for the privilege. I think these places are rotten now. Mm-hmm. I think people shouldn't go.
Well, this
you
time-
should do other things.
There is a point in not going to university. I have been, so the only example I know is going. But it's true in terms of if you go to university, you will be faced with certain challenges and temptations that you might have never had to experience or be challenged by if you just didn't go to university. It's an environment where the excess is glorified, where anything that can be done will be done. That's university. And so to go to university, you have to be a strong-willed individual who is willing to study with the surrounding effects of the world in a way. And you either come out of university better off or worse off. And if you're the kind of person who is easily laid astray, who hasn't learned the skills of how to study and how to have a goal for 3 years and stick to it, university might not be for you. And I think there are a lot of social pressures to say, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. My advice is, if you are not sure, err on the side of not going, because a lot of people drop out, and it's okay to drop out, but you still owe that money back. So only go when you're certain of the fact that you want a degree, and even if you probably won't work in that degree, but that degree will help you, and you're okay with it. And here in the UK, technically a degree is free. The reason I'm saying technically is that degrees are forgivable after between 35 to 40 years after the degree has been given to you. The rules keep changing. If you make above 29,000 pounds a year, you do have to pay back a little percentage of your salary to the student loan company. So normally that comes up to about maybe 8 or 9% of your salary above 28,000. So anything below 28,000 pounds, you pay nothing on towards your loan. So technically, if you go to uni and make below 28 grand, it was free, basically. But if you go to uni, you ideally should be aiming to get jobs that pay above that threshold. And so it depends the kind of person you want to be. The rules keep changing, the interest keeps changing. I think right now it's above 4%. So every year, let's say you have £100,000 student loan debt, 4% is £4,000, and that is cumulative. So the next year you're paying 4% on 104,000, and then the next year you're paying 4% on 107,000. So it can easily bubble into a very large number. But the aim in all cases for going to university is to start paying that back if possible. But currently, as the UK has it, within 35 to 40 years, all your student loan is forgivable, even though now it's a private loan, not a public loan. In the past, it was public. It was around £3,000 a year. Now it's around £9,250 a year. So it keeps on changing. Read the rules, read what the policies are. So university is worth going to if you want to become a better, well-rounded person, but also if you want the degree and you see yourself trying to make above 28,000. But if you don't go to uni, within 3 years of working in a company, you can get to the point where you're making £28,000 already, which means you're not paying any tax towards, your student loan repayments. So it's not about the money really. Unless you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, then go to uni. But if it's more just about, I want to become a better, well-rounded person, and if I make below 28,000 a year, I'm also okay with it. It's basically free. This is not legal advice, so don't take my word as gospel. This is just my own opinions. Please read your own information online before you make a life-changing decision like this. But yeah, what do you guys think? Comment down below. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.